You know when someone says that a young adult goes through most of their growing and maturing between the ages of 18 and 25, like a lot of stuff happens in between that time frame? Well, it has only recently occurred to me how true that is. Like really true. I've been doing a lot of reflecting recently on my life and, you know, how much I've grown and that sort of thing, and it's just crazy to think that I was such a different person when I was 18 compared to now that I'm 21. Back when I was 18, I thought so differently, I acted so differently, I just saw life so differently. It's just crazy how things change and how time works, I guess. And so I wanted to make a video just talking about all of that and talking about what has changed for me this year, because I know every year you change a lot and you grow a lot, you know, between 18 and 19 so much happened, and 19 and 20 and, you know, so forth and so on. I really wanted to highlight this year, and I wanted to highlight all that has happened and all that I've learned in the past 7 months, because it's been nuts. 2 disclaimers before I start. One, the lighting, it's gonna change. There are clouds in the sky. I love natural lighting, but this is just the pain of what happens, I guess. And then second of all, I'm not going to go too in depth with all my different points, because I actually want to make future videos on them and go more into detail. For right now, I'll just explain it a little bit, but yeah, look out for future videos. Leaving religion doesn't mean that I'm living the wrong way. I stopped attending church in December of last year, and I genuinely thought that it was just going to be a little bit of a break, a couple weeks, and then I would go back. But then fast forward to January, probably midway through January, I started to unpack some things, come to realize that I actually really enjoyed not going to church, and then I sort of realized that, hey, I don't believe this thing that I once believed in. So I stopped going to church altogether. I left Christianity. I did go a little bit into spirituality and sort of the new age stuff, but then I realized that I didn't really believe in that either, and that didn't really resonate with me. I just left religion in general, everything about, you know, believing in something, believing in a higher power. I stopped, and it has honestly been the best thing ever. With leaving that all behind, I really did feel that I was living the wrong way compared to my friends and my family that are Christian still. When I was a Christian, I had this mindset that if you aren't a Christian and if you aren't going to church and doing this sort of thing, then you're living the wrong way. Christianity is the only right way to live. But now that I'm out of it and I feel the peace that I have, I really don't see that anymore. And now I know for sure and certain that living not in a religion, or I guess anything in general, like there are so many different ways to live, and it doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It just means that they're different, and there's nothing wrong about that. Money and stability are really important to me. During the time when I left church in December of last year, I also left my job, my long-term, very stable job. I was in that job for 5.5 years, so it was very stable, and it really shook me when I left. I decided to quit that job because I wanted to try something new. I had basically grown up there. I started when I was 15, and by the time I finished I was 20. A lot of my growth in my teen years was at that job, so I really wanted to change, and I was just getting sick of the same old thing all the time. So I decided to quit that job without any plan, any other job lined up, anything like that. I just decided to quit. Looking back now, I definitely should have lined up another role. At the same time, I think if I didn't have those months of unstable messiness of it all, I wouldn't have realized that stability and, you know, a stable income and that sort of thing is really important to me. Obviously, when I'd left that job, I did have money aside. Like, I didn't just quit cold turkey without thinking about it. I did have money, and so I was okay. I didn't expect to be out of a job for so long, for 5 months. So I think by maybe like the last 2 months that I was unemployed, I definitely was stressing a little bit. My funds were getting lower, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was very nervous with all that. When I got a new job and started earning the income, I definitely learnt that having money and being stable within a job is so important to me. And that might be really obvious. Obviously you want money and that sort of thing, but at the same time I know that there are people that love to just live very freely and they don't get stressed about it. So I've learned the hard way that I'm definitely not one of those people. I wouldn't take it back, and I don't regret it really. It's a shame of all the money I've lost, but it's okay. dating men was performative and just for society. This one's definitely a doozy and I will explain more in a future video, but for right now, this year has definitely taught me that I was only really dating men for others and to uphold society expectations and to make other people happy. This one was definitely a really big pill for me to swallow because it was my whole life. Genuinely, I know it sounds so crazy and so silly, but dating men was genuinely everything to me my whole life. I always had crushes on boys. I always wanted to date a man, get married, have kids, do all that sort of thing. So when I realized that it wasn't actually authentic to me and I was just doing it for other people, my whole world shifted. Literally everything changed in my life. Probably during the last year or so, I just realized that it was never about the man himself. It was more about what he represented and what he gave me and what it looked like for other people, which I know sounds really, really bad and I should have realized this a long time ago. It's really hard to get out of a cycle and it's really hard to acknowledge how you're feeling, to see it and to actually want to do something about it. Not even want to do something about it, but to allow yourself to change and allow yourself to be okay with what has changed and what has happened, if that makes sense. So it took a really long time for me to actually accept that I wasn't after a boyfriend in the end. I was just after, yeah, that validation that they gave me. I've always seen having a boyfriend as the be all and end all, you know, like the highest achievement you could ever have. Having a boyfriend or having a husband that was it. Especially in the Christian circle, that was really important for women. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but for me, it wasn't who I am. So taking that off the pedestal that I had it on, which was very, 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 very high, it was a crazy change and I'm still honestly working through that. And I guess this sort of moves into my next point, which is realizing that I am gay, which is crazy to say online, but anyway, during this time of reflecting and figuring out that dating men wasn't actually what I wanted, I came to realize what I actually wanted, and that was to date women. I had a hunch probably back when I was 14, 15. I was not in the place to accept that or to talk about it, or I was still in the church then, so it was really hard for me to accept that when other people were saying that it wasn't right. This realization completely changed my life and the trajectory, if that's how you say that word, of my life and, you know, what it's gonna look like. I was really fixated on rom-coms when I was younger to just achieve this dream that, you know, everyone says is the golden ticket to life, to be dating someone that's really, really important. And that definitely affected my self-worth because I thought that if I had a boy liking me, then I was good. I was better than everyone else. I'm kidding. I felt so much better about myself when a boy liked me or when I had a crush because I just felt like I was doing something right. But now I know that that was just messaging from the outside world and social media and everyone else, but really that's not who I want to be. While we're talking about dating, my next point is what dating authentically looks like for me. And this is slow burn, a lot of space, taking time, and really just having my space as an individual. This has taken me a very long time to figure out, especially, you know, whilst I was dating men. I couldn't see this at all. All I wanted was just to reach the end goal, and so I would try to get there as fast as possible. Now that I'm on the other side of that and I'm dating women, I have realized and come to terms with the fact that dating for me is very slow. It means building trust and genuine connection and friendship. I understand why people love the friends to lovers trope because it's just so romantic to, you know, have that genuine connection, that foundation of trust and communication and just knowing each other fully, and then unexpectedly it just changes and, you know, you've taken that risk and it works and it's just a really beautiful connection. So that's something that I very much love and definitely treasure, and I don't think I would want to date any other way, honestly. I found peace and contentment for the first time whilst not dating. When I stopped dating men at the end of January, I had probably maybe like 4 months of just being single, and I know that's not a long time, but during those months I really loved it. I felt so content within myself, finally, for the first time ever, after a couple months, and now that I had been out as myself, I definitely wanted to get into the dating pool. So I downloaded Hinge actually, and I went on a couple of dates with some women, and I was seeing a girl for about 2-ish months, but we decided to go our separate ways. Looking back now, I definitely rushed in a little bit too quickly to date women. I genuinely loved being single so much when I had those couple of months to myself, even though I loved the dates that I went on with women, and it was so nice to actually be doing it for me this time. It will be something that I do in the future because I just love, I know I've said it so many times, but just this peace that I have with myself now that I am out and I'm doing things on my own terms. It's really nice to have this breath of fresh air and just knowing myself, and it's really great, and I just want to sit with it for as long as I can. Moving back in with your parents does not mean that you are going backwards. That's just what society has told us. Last year, my parents moved to the Sunshine Coast, and I decided that I wasn't really ready for that yet. So I moved out and I moved into a share house for about a year, until this year I decided that I was now ready to move up to the Sunshine Coast. At the same time, I was like, oh, I don't really want to pay rent, and I really don't want to do share house thing again. So I decided to move back in with my parents, and it's been a really great time so far. It's great to not have to pay big bills and not have to worry about so many different things and responsibilities. The media and people love to tell us that you have to move out and never ever move back in with your parents, because that's just, why would you do that? But it's okay to come back to family, because family is really important, but it's okay to come back and change your mind and do things differently. And the last thing that I want to mention that I've learned from this year is I am capable of finding a job that I really love. I kind of had this thought in my mind that I was just going to be stuck in a reception role, and you know, not saying that reception roles are bad or anything like that. I think I just had this mindset that reception was a bit too stagnant or something like that. I'm not really sure what was going on in my mind. I saw retail jobs and hospitality jobs and just everything else, social media jobs, to be so far away from me, and that I couldn't have it if I wanted to. Now that I have a new job and it's in hospitality and it's something that I have no experience in whatsoever, it's made me really excited and just more confident within myself that I can achieve the things that I want to, and I can get the job that I want to. Even whilst looking for a job up here on the Sunshine Coast, I interviewed for so many really great places, and I'm just so grateful that I had those opportunities, because it has made me more confident within myself. And now I know that I can achieve that, and I can get something that I really love, and I am allowed to have that. I was so stuck for so long because I just applied for all these reception roles, but I really didn't want that. I wanted to be doing something different. Didn't allow myself to believe that I could actually do something new. Those are all of my topics that I wanted to talk about in this video. I feel like I've just chatted your ear off. I hope this video isn't too boring. I know it's a little bit different, I guess, but I've had a really interesting year, and I wanted to talk about it and share more of my experiences instead of just doing, you know, the vlogs and that sort of thing. I love them, but I also want to do some other things. Let me know your thoughts on any of the topics that I mentioned, or if you have learnt something else from this year, let me know in the comments, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Bye.